Dear friends, welcome. Today we are honored to have with us Sri Swami Nirbhayananda Saraswati, who would be speaking to us about Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi. Swami Nirbhayananda ji is currently the president of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Ashramas of Gadag and Vijayapur, located in India's Karnataka state. The revered Swami is a well-known speaker, particularly in the southern part of India, and has been invited to speak at various international forums in Europe, the USA, and Asia, which also includes reputed academic institutions. The United Nations honored him with the title of Ambassador for Peace. The Swami speaks on various aspects of Vedanta philosophy as taught and lived by Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and Swami Vivekananda. His talks have inspired many to lead spiritually inspired lives. On that holy note, on behalf of the Vivekananda Vedanta Society of Chicago, please join me in welcoming Swami Nirbhayananda ji to speak to us today on the topic Holy Mother, Practical Vedanta Personified. Swamiji, kindly come.
Friends, as the tradition goes, before the talk commences, normally we sing a small bhajan so that the turbulent mind becomes settled and becomes ripened for receiving the message that will follow. That's how normally we do, according to our Sanatana Dharma tradition. Let us follow the same path. Today also, I shall just make you all repeat one small namavali. Very easy to repeat. About Guru Maharaj Sri Ramakrishna, bit by bit, I shall be chanting or singing it. You please follow. He Kalpataru, He Vishwaguru, He Kalpataru, He Vishwaguru, He Premarupa, Avatar, He Kalpataru, He Vishwaguru, He Premarupa, Avatar, He Sharadapate, Jagatapate, He Sharadapate, Jagatapate, Tum karo mama Uddhar. He Sharadapate Jagatapate Tum karo mama Uddhar. Tum karo mama Uddhar. Beautiful. Once more. He Kalpataru, He Vishwaguru, He Kalpataru, He Vishwaguru, He Prema Rupa Avatar, He Kalpataru, He Vishwaguru, He Prema Rupa Avatar, He Sharadapate Jagatapate, He Sharadapate Jagatapate, Tum karo mama uddhar. He Sharadapate Jagatapate, Tum karo mama uddhar. Tum karo mama uddhar. Tum karo mama uddhar. Tum karo mama uddhar. Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayoshritva Pranamami Mohar Moho. Namashri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhasvarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Krupa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vireshwarananda Dayamrutabdhim Shri Ranganathancha Vijnana Bhanum Chidananda Rupa Shri Purushottamaryam Dhyayan Hrudisthan Krutinam Hyavaimi. Salutations at the lotus feet of Srimad Swami Vireshwarananda Ji Maharaj, who was an ocean of compassion and kindness, and also at the feet of Srimad Swami Ranganathananda Ji Maharaj, who was the son of knowledge, and at the lotus feet of Chidananda Ji Maharaj, who initiated me into sannyas, and at the lotus feet of Srimad Swami Purushottamananda Ji Maharaj, who opened the gate of monastic life and serious spirituality in my life. Today's topic of discussion is Holy Mother, an embodiment of Vedantic teaching, or personification of Vedantic spirit. Mother is a very enigmatic personality. It is not at all easy to say anything about Mother, because for ordinary minds, glory can be easily recognized. And even that glory must be overwhelming. It's quite easy for a person to say that Rama must have been an incarnation, because we see a lot of glory around the life and personality of Sri Rama. Equally, it's quite easy for us to say that Krishna must have been an incarnation, just as we see it very clearly around the person and the life of Rama. Around Krishna also, we see a lot of greatness getting unfolded at every step. When it comes to Sri Ramakrishna, it is not that easy. Ramakrishna himself knew this better than any other person. Therefore, any number of times he has said, this time king has come in disguise. The king has come in disguise this time. All cannot recognize him. When a person comes to you in disguise, you cannot recognize him unless you are quite familiar with him. Only those that are quite familiar with him can alone identify, oh, this is the man that has come in this guise. Ramakrishna used to say, king has come in disguise this time. Equally, queen also has come in disguise. When king comes in disguise, quite naturally, queen also will have to follow the suit, because she should always step into the shoes of the king. That is how the tradition goes. That is how propriety also goes. So when it is so difficult to even recognize Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation, what to speak of Mother? So, to identify and recognize Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation on par with Sri Rama or Sri Krishna, when it is a difficult task, equally it's a big challenge for us all to really know who this Mother is. As we look into her life and various unfoldments that we see around her emergence, around her activity and all that, here and there we get the hint that she cannot be an ordinary personality. Here and there we get. Whenever I look into Mother, one thing that flashes to me is Divine Mother, in order to fulfill the promise that she has made in that great work, Durga Saptashati, has come in the form of Holy Mother this time. You know, Durga Saptashati is a treatise comprising about 700 shlokas. Saptashati. Shata in Sanskrit means 100, Sapta means 7. 700 shlokas that gives a vivid description about the cosmic form of Divine Mother. In Indian tradition, in Sanatana tradition, Godhood is mainly adored in 3 different forms: Vishnu, Shiva, and Devi. Go to any corner of India, you see Vishnu puja or aradhana, or Shiva in various forms, or Devi predominantly. Each one has got the Vishwarupa revealed out in one or the other scripture. We are all quite familiar with the Vishwarupam of Vishnu as revealed in Bhagavad Gita. The 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita itself is named as Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. Krishna reveals out as to who really he is. Even Krishna himself has come in disguise. Not only Sri Ramakrishna, even Krishna had come in disguise. But though he had come in disguise, it was quite easy for anyone to make out that behind the frame of this person, Krishna, there must be something unimaginably great. One could easily make out. There was no difficulty in speculating or in identifying the greatness in the frame of Krishna. True Krishna was revealed out on the battlefield when Arjuna saw that cosmic form, Vishwarupa Darshana. Where do we come across the Vishwarupa Darshana of Shiva? That question may arise quite pertinently. Where is the Vishwarupa of Shiva? If such a question arises in your mind, the answer would be, please go to Vedas. In Krishna Yajurveda, we come across a beautiful portion called as Rudram. That Rudram is of two parts, Namakam and Chamakam. We are quite familiar with that. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya, like that it starts. That is Namakam part. Namo Hiranyabhave Se Nanye Dishanjapataye Namo Namo, like that it goes. That is Namakam. The second chapter, the chapter that follows is Chamakam. Shanchame, Majaschame, Priyanchame, Nukamaschame, like that it goes. Namakam and Chamakam. These two constitute Rudra. Rudram, Rudra, whatever it is. There you see the cosmic form of Lord Shiva. Namo Jeshthaya cha Kanishthaya cha Namah Purvajaya cha Aparajaya cha. You see the opposites. Jeshtha, the eldest of all, the greatest of all. Kanishthaya cha, the lowest of all. Just as we see the description of Atman in Kathopanishad, in terms of opposites, tad dure, tad dvantike, tad antarasya sarvasya, tad sarvasyasya bhahyataha. Whenever description of Atman comes in Kathopanishad, how do we see it? It is in terms of the opposites. Always remember, infinity, anything that is infinite in nature, will have to be described as pairs of opposites only. No other way. There is no other way, no logical way at least. There is no any other logical way whereby something infinite can be described. Infinity minus infinity is equal to infinity, quite in contrast with the laws of mathematics. Except in case of zero, if same thing is subtracted from that, you will get that only. 0 minus 0, 0. Infinity minus infinity is infinity. Infinity into infinity is infinity. Infinity divided by infinity is infinity. So this infinity, it transcends all laws. You cannot bind it within any law. Therefore, whenever a mathematics postulate is mentioned before the student community, in most of the cases we say when it is not equal to 0. If xa is equal to xb, then a is equal to b, except when x is not 0. If x is 0, this law will not hold good. In the books of mathematics, we only mention when it is not 0. Actually, they should have mentioned like when it is not 0 or infinity. Like that they should have mentioned. So pairs of opposites normally are used for logically presenting about the features of something infinite. Therefore, Shiva is Jeshthaya cha, Kanishthaya cha, Namah Purvajaya cha, Aparajaya cha, Madhyamaya cha, Apagalbhyaya cha. Like that it goes. As far as Devi is concerned, her cosmic form will come in Durga Saptashati, 700 shlokas. Vishnu's Vishwarupa Darshanam comes in Bhagavad Gita. Shiva's Vishwarupa Darshanam comes in the Vedas, Krishna Yajurveda, to be more precise. And Devi's Vishwarupa Darshanam comes in Durga Saptashati. It has 700 shlokas, as I said. In the last but one chapter, which bears the title Murti Rahasyam, I think in the 11th shloka, Devi declares. What is the declaration? My devotee, whomsoever I love, my devotee, him I serve, just as a sincere wife serves her husband. I serve the devotee whom I love, the way the sincerest wife serves her husband. Tamsa parichare devi patim riyam ivangana. This is Devi's promise, Divine Mother's promise. When I read this, I was dumbstruck. Masculine God treated as husband or the beloved by a devotee that is feminine. It's quite acceptable. We see in the Bhakti school of yoga, Madhura Bhava, Kanta Bhava and all that. A lady devotee treating God veritably as her husband. And in that mode, she practices all her spiritual practices. Spiritual exercises will go on in that mode. That's quite acceptable. Nothing objectionable. I asked Swami Purushottanandaji, Swamiji, what is this? Divine Mother says she serves her devotee just as a committed, sincere wife serves her husband. How is it? You know, Swami Purushottanandaji is my guru who initiated me into this path. He said, yes, that is true, but remember, there will not be any physical relation between the husband and wife when such a thing happens. In every other sense, she can serve as wife only. There will not be any sort of physical sense for the relation that they have. This is exactly how the story of Sri Ramakrishna and Sharada Mata goes. Sharada Devi had the same type of relation with Sri Ramakrishna. Then whom do you consider Sharada Devi as? Who is Sharada Devi really? Bhavatarani herself, Divine Mother herself, in order to keep up her promise, to show to the world at large that yes, the promise that I have made in Durga Saptashati, here is being illustrated. Come on, verify it for yourselves. As though she is throwing a challenge. She is opening up an opportunity for you all to verify whether it is true or not. Has Mother simply said that, or she has carried out also in her practice? To carry out this promise in practice, Divine Mother took the form of Sharada Devi and served Sri Ramakrishna. That is how sometimes I think, and I think I am right in a speculation of that kind. This is how Mother's background will have to be seen. What is the background of who is she really? Anyway, she has come in disguise. We cannot very easily know. We have to take some sort of an imagination, you can say, a speculation, you can say, a scriptural inquiry, you can say, to find out who really she is. The other stand upon which we can base our argument about who really Sharada Devi was is in Lalita Sahasranamam, 1,000 names of Divine Mother. We come across one name, Deva Karya Samudyata. She always will uphold the mission of the Lord. She helps the mission of the Lord to be carried out to its logical conclusion. Deva Karya. The mission of the Lord, Samudyata, will be promoted by her, will be upheld, will be supported by her. When Deva came in the form of Sri Ramakrishna, Mahamaya will have to have her own role played in order to uphold and promote the mission for which she has come. Quite naturally, she came in the form of Sharada Devi. Sharada Devi's life has so many episodes that can make a very interesting subject for us to study. Among those episodes, I select a few and try to interpret those episodes in a way whereby it becomes very much clear for us that she lived Vedanta, she breathed Vedanta, she was Vedanta itself. She was Vedantic spirit itself, personified into a human form. We are all quite familiar with the dacoit, the episode that involves the dacoit. When mother was setting herself out to go to Dakshineshwar for meeting Sri Ramakrishna, she came across a dacoit, we all know. The dacoit and his wife accosted her. She became extremely terrified at the very sight of the man. It was dusk. There was nobody with mother. She was left alone. Some people had actually started along with her from her place, Jairam Bhatti. But mother was slow. Therefore, they could not wait for her to keep pace with them. They all went off. They all thought mother would follow, naturally, but mother could not. Sharda Devi could not keep up pace with others. She lagged behind. It was dusk. She never knew where to move towards. At that time, the dacoit came and he shouted at her, "Who is that?" When a dacoit shouts, it will not be like how I pronounced it. It was a threatening shout, very much terrifying. Suddenly she became frightened. She had to manage the situation. It was not out of expediency, one should know. Naturally, suddenly, something came out of her. What did she say? Looking at dacoit and his wife, mother says, "Father, I am your daughter Sharda Devi. I am your daughter Sharda. I had set out on a journey to go to your son-in-law, who is there at Dakshineshwar, working as priest there in the temple. I missed the way. My fellow travelers have gone. They have gone ahead. I am left alone. I was very much worried as to what would happen to me when I am there alone in this dense forest. It's God's grace that you and mother came suddenly. Had you not turned up right at this moment, I don't know what would have happened to me." So saying, she runs towards his wife and hugs his wife as though a daughter lovingly hugs her mother. At this, the man dacoit changed totally. He was metamorphosed. When mother addressed, Sharda Devi addressed him as father, there came upon him a marvelous change. He no more remained dacoit. The magic effect produced by this one utterance of Holy Mother, "Father, I am your daughter Sharda." Just one sentence. It brought about a metamorphic change in him. The whole person was changed. He did really transform himself into the real the real father of Sharda Devi. He became veritably father of Sharda Devi himself. What a magic effect it was. It is something like Swami Vivekananda saying here in the city of Chicago, "Sisters and brothers of America." 7,000 people rose to their feet and they sent out a thunderous applause. The effect of Swami's utterance was such. He did really mean they were all sisters and brothers. It was not just a formality for Swami Vivekananda at that time. Vivekananda was connected with all the 7,000 people there in a sort of bond, in a sort of relation that they did really feel that here there was one brother from India who was brother to them all in every sense of the term, and the response came so spontaneously, in a flooded way, so overwhelmingly the response came that something magical took place at that moment. In 1893, when this episode took place, on the day Parliament opened. In history, we come across such instances. We also see in Ramayana, Rama going to the hermitage of Gautama Maharshi and touching the stone with his feet. And the stone that was lying there for the past several years suddenly turns out to be Ahalya, Devi Ahalya. A mere touch, a mere address, just one word or one sentence like, Father, here is your daughter Sharda Devi. Just one sentence, small sentence. And on 1st of January 1886, on Kalpataru Day, when all the devotees came and when they were offering their obeisance to Sri Ramakrishna blessed them all. We all know the story. I don't go into the details. It was New Year's Day, a holiday for all people there because India was under the British rule. At that time, January 1st, Girish Chandra Ghosh and so many people had gathered in Kasipur Garden House. Sri Ramakrishna suddenly came out of his room. Taking this opportunity, all those people that had gathered there came to him and they offered their obeisance. Sri Ramakrishna blessed them all by just uttering one sentence. What was the sentence that he uttered? He said, "What more I can say?" Sri Ramakrishna says, "What more I can say? May you all be awakened." That's all. That's all the thing he said. Sri Ramakrishna said, "What more I can say? May you all be awakened." They did become awakened right at that very moment. No sooner Sri Ramakrishna had said this, then they all became awakened. We see the description, how that awakening expressed itself forth. Some started weeping, some started jumping, dancing. Just as we see people expressing their inner transformation whenever they experience this Bhava Samadhi, similar incidents took place. Everybody, without an exception, experienced Bhava Samadhi that day, which lasted for days together, perhaps that must have lasted for months together. In all these cases, we see a sort of miracle taking place. Just a word or one sentence that gets uttered from the mouth of some divine personality and it produces miraculous effect. How at all this can take place? When we say all those things, will these effects come upon? They will never come upon. When Sri Ramakrishna says, when Mother says, when Swamiji says, sisters and brothers of America, when Rama touches the stone with his toe, how at all these things take place? They all take place because their life and the Vedantic message are no two different entities. They are no two different things at all. The Vedantic message is this: we are all divine by our very nature. This is the Vedantic message. We are divine. Sometimes we say we are potentially divine. You are potentially divine from other standpoints of view. From the Vedantic standpoints of view, we are all already divine. Only we have become forgetful of that. We are not aware right now. Some sort of an ignition is required to be effected upon us, whereby we become totally aware of the divinity in us and accordingly we start behaving. This can happen only when you have that ability to bring about the transformation that you want to. This ability cannot be there unless and until you have that Brahman consciousness ever present in you. When a person is living in that consciousness of being Brahman, then we say he is Vedantic spirit personified. Mother never saw the dacoit in the man. He was a dacoit out and out. But mother did not see it. Mother did not see it. In so many other cases we see Mother was carrying food one day to the room of Sri Ramakrishna, as every day she would do. Just when she was about to take the food to Sri Ramakrishna's room, a lady happens to come there. She develops an interest to take food to Sri Ramakrishna that day herself. Pleads with mother, Mother, today I will take food to Sri Ramakrishna. Mother gives food to her. She carries the food to Sri Ramakrishna's room. Ramakrishna, not knowing who brought the food, keeps a morsel of it on his tongue, becomes very much uneasy at that because the food was not carried to his room by a pure personality. She was of a fallen character. She was of questionable character. Afterwards, Sri Ramakrishna inquires about who did really carry food to his room that day. Mother says, a certain lady had requested me to carry food to your room. She pleaded with me. I could not deny her. I have given food to her. It is she that carried the food to you today. Ramakrishna takes mother to task. Have I not told you that my food cannot be carried? People, all and sundry, cannot carry my food to my room. Have I not told you? Why did you give it to her? See, I feel as though I am putting some burning charcoal on my tongue when I take a morsel of it and put it on my tongue. I cannot touch the food that is already touched by vicious personalities of impure character. Have I not told? Promise me today that you are not going to give the food that I eat to any person to be carried to my room. Promise me today. Give that promise. Mother says, no, I cannot give you that promise. I can't promise you that way because whenever a person addresses me as mother, I cannot deny whatever they are asking me for. I cannot deny. If a person addresses me as mother, I never deny what he or she is asking me for. What does it mean? What does it mean? When a person addresses me as mother, he will not remain who he is. Or whenever I voluntarily set up some relation with some person, like I did set up a relation with the dacoit, he does not remain what he is. When Swamiji addresses the American gathering, sisters and brothers, they will not just remain as Americans anymore. When Rama touches the stone, it does not remain stone anymore. When Sri Ramakrishna says, what more I should say, may you all be awakened, those people will not remain what they have been all these days at all anymore. They should become awakened. There should take place transformation in them according to the wishes of Sri Ramakrishna. And whenever mother is addressed as mother, you have to get what you have been asking for. Just merely by addressing her as mother, we must be in a position to get whatever we want to. This is called as Shapanugraha Samarthyam. Anugraha Samarthyam. This can also be called as the ability to suck all our sins into her being, making her totally purified. Sarvadharman Parityajya. Krishna gives a declaration in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharman Parityajya. Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Leave aside all other pursuits, all other means, all other ways. Leave aside. Sarvadharman Parityajya. Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Take refuge only in me. Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo. I remove all your sins. Mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Aham tva sarva papebhyo. I cleanse you of all your sins and I give you liberation. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja is one part. Leave aside all other things. Take refuge in me. That is one part. If you just do that much, if you simply take refuge in me alone, if you just do that, what is the reward you are going to get? You will be cleansed of all your sins. You become a transfigured personality. So much so, there will not be a trace of sin attached to you anymore, and you become liberated all at once. You have become liberated already, merely by taking refuge in me. Here, taking refuge in me, the declaration that Krishna has given, has assumed the form, in case of the dacoit episode, mother putting herself in some sort of a relation with the dacoit. When she says, Father, this is your daughter, mother, that is enough for the dacoit to take refuge in the divinity wherefrom he can get the reward in the form of total liberation. Mother herself is offering a relation to him. He has not put any effort in that direction. Can there be anything like that? Yes, this is the speciality of Ramakrishna incarnation. You need not take any initiative from your side. The greatness of Sri Ramakrishna incarnation, when I say Ramakrishna incarnation, please remember, it always includes Mother and Swamiji also. Those three great personages constitute one whole. It is not at all necessary that you have to take any initiative. When those people paid their obeisance to Sri Ramakrishna on 1st of January, nobody pleaded for liberation. Nobody pleaded for liberation. Ramakrishna volunteered to give them all the awakening that they wanted. Ramakrishna offered without being asked for. Once there was taking place one discussion about how compassionate and kind Sri Ramakrishna was. Several devotees of Sri Ramakrishna all had gathered together, and based on their own experiences, they were discussing how compassionate Sri Ramakrishna was. Somebody said, Sri Ramakrishna was so gracious that if you put one step, he would put 10 steps towards you. That is the reciprocation that he used to give. You put one step towards Ramakrishna, he would put 10 steps. Like that, the versions went on. Girish Chandra Ghosh said, I don't agree with these things at all. I don't agree with you all. They were all dumbstruck. They were aghast. What is it? Is Girish going to deny our experiences? Girish said, no, my experience is different. I never put even a single step. Ramakrishna himself walked up to me and he offered me things that I never dreamt one day I would be able to get in my life. It was all his kindness. It was all his compassion. Without my putting a single step towards him, he came to me on his own and he lifted me up. He liberated me from the shackles that I was caught up in. What a wonderful thing. Here also, it was not merely Sri Ramakrishna. Even here, in case of Mother too, dacoit did not offer it. Dacoit did not seek it from Mother. He never sought it from Sharada Devi. She herself gave it to him. Friends, this can happen in case of only those who are living Vedanta in their everyday life. Because their life itself will be the message of Vedanta put into its fullest illustration. Who would be the greatest yogi? Krishna says in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Who is the greatest among yogis? He says, Suhrun Mitra, Udasina, Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhushu, Sadhushvapicha Papeshu. Beautiful shloka. Suhrun Mitra Yudasina, Madhyastha Dveshya Bandhushu. Suhrut means a friend who helps you without expecting anything from you. That is Suhrut. Mitra is a friend. Mitra means a friend who helps you expecting something from you. Ari, your foe, your enemy. Udasina, person who is indifferent towards you. Neither he is interested in you nor he hates you. Madhyastha, a mediator who mediates in certain dealings that you have with others. Dveshya, a person that hates you. Positively, he hates you. Bandhushu, bandhu means your relation, your relative. Sadhu, a man given to righteousness totally in his life. Papeshu, a sinner. Suhrun mitra yudasina madhyastha dveshya bandhushu. Sadhushvapacha papeshu. Samabuddhir vishishyate. Towards all these people, the best among yogis has same-sightedness. He treats all these people alike. He doesn't make any difference. He doesn't see any difference. He doesn't make any differentiation at all among all these people. Him I count as the greatest yogi, Krishna says. Yogi, or a man, or a person living Vedanta teaching, are no two different personalities. You can say for all practical purposes, they are one and the same. Several such instances one can come across in the life of Holy Mother that clearly indicate that Mother lived the message of Vedanta. One more thing I recollect to my mind on this occasion is Swamiji wanted to sell away the land that was purchased for setting up the mutt after his return from America because he wanted money very badly for undertaking some relief work to drive out the effects of plague that had attacked Calcutta. I think it was in 1897 or so. We all know about that. Calcutta was attacked by plague. Swamiji was taking rest in Dehradun, in Darjeeling at that time. News came, Calcutta has been attacked by plague. Swamiji became extremely disturbed, terribly disturbed. Immediately, he entered into action. He formulated so many plans, so many measures to eradicate the plague, at least to alleviate the problem that people were suffering from. So many relief measures were contemplated by him, and he gave a concrete forum for all these plans. Also discussed these plans with the fellow beings that were there with him in Darjeeling. Finally, the question arose, where to get funds for all this? Without a moment's hesitation, Swamiji says, why? Recently we have purchased land for setting up our mutt near Belur in the suburbs of Calcutta. We will sell it off. We will sell it off. This news reached Mother. Immediately, Mother's reaction was, she sent a beautiful counseling to Swamiji. She said, well, Naren, this year you will send the land and bring about some relief measure for alleviating the sufferings of all these people. Next year also plague will come. What do you do next year? Where from you bring the fund next year for solving the problem? If you look at the reply that Mother gave to Swamiji when the news reached her that Vivekananda was seriously contemplating about such a measure, you will come to know the sort of the maturity, the sort of the farsightedness that was in her. This can happen, remember. Such a personality can be there only when you have the fullest consciousness in you. In Sanskrit, such a personality is called as Purna Prajna. About future, about past. Why? When the news reached that Vivekananda had put the photo of Sri Ramakrishna in the monastery in Mayavati Ashram in the Himalayas, the ashram that was totally meant for practicing Advaitic sadhana, where there was no place for any image or any photo. You all know perhaps the story. In Mayavati, in the lap of the Himalayas, there is one ashram that Vivekananda had set up for the Western disciples to go and practice their spiritual exercises, etc. there for the Western disciples. It was totally meant for Advaitic way of practicing things. There was no room for any sort of a photo or image worship, nothing of that sort. Only Advaitic sadhana. Always contemplating about Brahman and also contemplating about you and Brahman. The relation between you and Brahman. What is the relation? I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Atma Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Atma Brahma. Like that, your spiritual practices must go. There was no room for any sort of image worship or any such thing. But Swami Vivekananda, a direct disciple of Swamiji himself, Vivekananda himself, had put the photo of Sri Ramakrishna there. When Swamiji saw this photo of Sri Ramakrishna, he asked Vivekananda to immediately remove it. Reluctantly, Vivekananda removed. But even then, the matter was taken to Holy Mother, Sharada Devi. Mother Vivekananda reprimanded me for having put the photo of Sri Ramakrishna there, saying that this is totally meant for the Advaitic sadhana and there is no room for any sort of any other way, any other means of spiritual practice. Is it right? What harm is there if Sri Ramakrishna's photo is put? Something like that, people must have taken this matter to Mother. Mother's reaction was, Naren is right. What Naren has said is right, because he was all Advaita. Ramakrishna was totally an Advaiti. He was all Advaita. And all his disciples are Advaitins. So the plan that Naren has conceived for the sake of his Western disciples, that they all should come to Himalayas where temperature is not that high, unlike other parts of India, his plan that Western disciples must come there and pursue their spiritual practices there on Advaitic lines is well grounded. Naren is right in having thought on those lines. Look at all these things. We see Holy Mother representing the fullest realization of Vedantic spirit in her. Not only the fullest realization of Vedantic spirit, we can even go to the extent of saying that she was Vedantic spirit personified. Vedantic spirit personified in the form of Sharada Devi. And practical Vedanta always takes two versions. Predominantly, it takes two versions. One is same-sightedness. The clearest sign that whether a person is Vedantin or not should be based on the fact whether he has that same-sightedness. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, Brahmane Gavihastine, Shunachaiva Shvapakecha, Panditaha Samadarshanaha. Krishna puts it in Bhagavad Gita. Samadarshana, seeing, when you see Brahman everywhere, when the Brahmajnani had come to Dakshineshwar, Ramakrishna clearly made out that he was a Brahmajnani and told Hruday also, see Hruday, a great Brahmajnani has come. Hruday went to him, paid his obeisance and pleaded for some initiation, some advice. Though he was very much reluctant, Brahmajnani was very much reluctant to give any sort of a teaching in the beginning, later he tells Hruday, remember, you have Brahmajnana only when you are able to see no difference between the water in the Ganges and the ditch water. If you are able to see no difference between water in the Ganges and ditch water, you can count there is Brahmajnana in you. You have that Brahmajnana in you. Therefore, the foremost sign of a person who has been seriously and sincerely practicing Jnana Yoga, who has been pursuing Brahmajnana, is that he should be same-sighted in his approach. And equanimity, never become perturbed under any circumstances, just as we have seen in the episode connected with the dacoit. Totally unperturbed under any circumstances. Same-sightedness, totally unperturbed. All these things we see very clearly in Holy Mother. So based on this, we can say Mother was the very personification of Vedantic spirit or practical Vedanta. So I am extremely thankful to Venerable Srimad Swami Ishatmananji Maharaj to have given me this opportunity to stand before you all and share with you all a few thoughts about the great personality, Holy Mother, Sri Sharada Devi, today in this beautiful hall of consciousness, for which I am extremely grateful to Maharaj. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you all.
Swamiji, we may have time for one question, one or two, if anyone has any questions.
Sure, if time permits.
No one? All right, Swamiji, on behalf of Vedanta Society and Swami Ishatmanandaji, we are really very grateful for telling us about Holy Mother. This is also the season of her birth anniversary. In less than a week we will celebrate. And as a token of our gratitude, Swami Ishatmanandaji has this for you. Okay. I'm handing it over kindly if you can if you accept.
I thankfully accept it.
Yeah, yes, Swamiji. Thank you so much.